What's going on there, guys? Good afternoon to you folks out there. It is the Earthmaster here with Missy Mimi's
Good morning, guys.
on this Sunday morning, January 30th, 2022, about 11:22 a.m. So good morning to the West Coast folks out here. Here in California, a little bit of rocking and rolling going on down in the southern part of the state. But the latest earthquake right now, a 3.4, in a pretty good swarm of movement in the Puerto Rico area. Go ahead and check out the movement here on the USGS map showing the activity in Southern California first, where we've seen a 4.1 strike underneath the, you guessed it, Palomar Observatory kicking up here once again. It has been relatively quiet in this region of the state. Of course, remember, we've been watching this area for quite a while now. Last 30 days of activity shows the majority of the movement here just to the east around the Palomar Mountain, but they still have this 4.1 struck right around the Palomar. Is this the area where we've seen the movement, or is this a separate swarm?
I believe that is a
This is
that's
the main
the main
swarm.
swarm.
Yeah, so we're seeing actually newer activity to the west here, but still situated, I believe, right around the Elsinore fault system, which runs pretty lengthy up and down the region here.
It's almost on it. That one. That little
Sounds like we got
swarm.
helicopter flying over. Oh no, watch out. No, I believe that's flight care. So yes, the movement definitely kicking up here in the southern part of the state, really close to the Palomar Observatory. 4.1 being felt broadly by a few folks there in the Southern California area. See this shaking map here showing the intensity and whatnot of the earthquake activity. Some folks reported feeling a little bit of moderate shaking, it looks like, centered right around the epicenter there, just outside the Palomar Observatory. And looks like it was felt in San Diego and Long Beach, Los Angeles area. Quite a few responses. Not going to go through all of these here, but you can definitely see the reports coming in from that 4.1. So yeah, activity kind of kicking up here, no doubt, in the southern part of the state. Looks like a little bit of aftershock activity within this region. This movement here is pretty deep, by the way, folks. 13, 14 kilometers down there, indicating some deep activity going on beneath these mountains and the plates itself. And this is kind of concerning because we could be looking at possibly something brewing out here in the southern part of the state. Also, a little bit of swarming going on off the coast of Los Angeles and the Oxnard area along the Malibu Coast fault zone. It's a little section here that runs east to west, west to east, and we have seen some activity kind of ramping up here in this region over the last week. See the swarm of movement here kicking up. These are not extremely small microquakes either. Definitely getting up there in the middle 2 range. Some of it pretty shallow, some of it pretty deep. So kind of all over the place here along this specific fault zone called the Malibu Coast Fault. Looking at a little bit of information on it. It's a type of fault, meaning it's a reverse fault. Length is only 34 kilometers, but does have several parallel strands. Nearest communities, Malibu, Pacific, what is that, Palisades?
Palisades, right?
Uh, we'll be corrected.
I'm sure it will.
So yeah, the accumulation rate is not significant. Looking at less than a mm a year, 1 mm, but zero point 0.3. So it's pretty slow when it comes to building up potential stress, but a little bit of uncertainty on this specific fault system, at least according to these folks here at the Southern California Earthquake Data Center. Go ahead and spit it out. I did a little search on this fault system here, and there's an old article from 1990 about this specific fault system. The Malibu Fault Zone was previously thought to be inactive, so this was put out 30 years ago.
Jeez.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
30 years? Man, time flies way too fast, let me tell you. So new data back then indicates that the complex fault system along the Malibu coast is both active and capable of causing a major earthquake of magnitude 6 or 7. Two geologists who have closely studied the area warned on Wednesday, which was back in 1990. So there's been a lot of a lot of time has passed in this region. We haven't seen any major quakes out here on this fault system that they were talking about 30 years ago. There's Southern California is it's a ticking time bomb, so to speak, with this complex fault system out here all over the place. It just reminds me of a well, a lot of people have seen the movie San Andreas. It's kind of I don't think that'd be realistic if that were to happen, but no doubt I think a lot of these faults are under an extremely amount of high pressure over the years. And I believe we could see a lot of these fault systems possibly trigger each other if we get a big enough earthquake out here in the southern part of the state. So, and this one runs, this Malibu fault system runs into the Santa Monica fault here?
Yeah.
Santa Monica fault offshore, which runs over to the Los Angeles area. But if you get a 6 or 7 within this region here, that's a little bit of some pretty good shaking and probably potential damage around this area of the state. And that's just kind of looking at these fault systems that people are aware of, and being known, made publicly. I'm sure there's lots of other fault systems here that are not peeking their head out, so to speak, yet, and that one day we will discover them. But it's a dangerous area down there in Southern California, and with all the activity kicking up here on the Pacific side, kind of in a fashion of a I don't know how I can explain it, but it's kind of like almost a horseshoe type section here being applied on the southern part of the state. This here is the all magnitudes, and there's definitely a lot of movement taking place here in Southern California. We need to watch those fault systems pretty closely. Montebello 1.4 within the last hour. The rest of the jungle out here looks pretty quiet. Looks like we had 1.3 earlier. No major swarming down south of the Salton Sea, but definitely got to watch this area along the Elsinore fault system. That's a pretty dangerous one as well, and pretty lengthy. Runs up into the portions of the greater Los Angeles and Pomona area, Ontario, Corona. All those areas are pretty highly populated, and could do some extreme damage if we get a major earthquake out here. Here's the hazard map on the USGS. Shows these. Not only is the San Andreas Fault, a major player in producing earthquakes and a hazard in Southern California, but they have the Elsinore fault system, San Jacinto fault zone. Even looks like they have the one we were just chatting about, the Malibu Coast.
Malibu Coast.
The Malibu Coast one.
So
kicked up here. I mean, so there's a lot of potential here in creating a major quake in a highly populated region. And, well, of course, that's what happens when you live along a plate boundary, right? Or if you live on a volcano, the risk is high, the risk is there. And one day, while it's nice and sunny and a cool breeze kicking up and, enjoying your coffee and whatnot, one day this is not going to be a good place to be when it comes to enjoying life, because it's coming. There's definitely a big one coming down there in Southern California. Just a matter of time. I was kind of puzzled to see that article put out in 1990. It's pretty crazy.
That's a while ago. Excuse me, guys.
From the Los Angeles Times there. It's pretty much the second or third article down when you type in the Malibu Coast fault zone. And it's up there. It's kind of weird. A 1990 article being like number 3 on the Google search list, which is kind of odd. But I've seen a lot of stuff being put out recently about Cascadia and
I know
whatnot. I don't know. It's almost like they're preparing us for potentially something kicking up here real soon along the West Coast.
Yeah, that the Petrolia station is offline right now, you guys.
So Petrolia is a station in Northern California that we monitor. It's on the live seismographs. And that's the station we monitor in the Eureka area. Just in case you're wondering what Petrolia is, it's offline, and so is the other one that we monitor there in Northern California. So, not for sure what's going on. We'll keep trying to bring it up, but it's definitely a live seismograph that we watch here.
Not the time for that to go off when we're reading all these articles about the Cascadia
I know.
that have been coming out.
As far as Northern California goes, it's definitely been pretty active up here along the southern end of the Cascadia. There's not a lot being shown up here. But when we were watching the stations there yesterday, we did see quite a bit of activity. Of course, not picking up, not being reported here by the USGS. So I don't know why they delay the data. It's just kind of odd, but it's something to watch, and it should be reported when it comes out. Nothing significant going on, but when we see a swarm of activity around the Cascadia subduction zone there, it's something to watch. So these guys reporting over the last 24 hours, continued movement in the Covelo area, not as active as yesterday, and one little earthquake outside of Eureka with a 2.6. This one pretty deep, 23.8 kilometers.
Wow.
So activity continuing. We were looking at the swarm activity kick up last night into the southern end of the Cascadia. Is this today? Oh, there's 23 epicenters. That's right. The day prior, we've seen about 122 within the same area. This is a tremor map that monitors the tremor activity down dip of the locked area of the Cascadia subduction zone, which sits just offshore, Northern California northward, up and down the coast, and ends just north of the or northwest of the Vancouver Island ranges. So this whole area is a major subduction zone with a highly accumulated stress, and it has been building up for 322 years now since the last major full rupture of the Cascadia. Tremor kind of goes hand in hand in watching the activity and the stress accumulation here at the locked area. Firm believer of tremor creating, obviously, right? You're creating friction down dip movement, if you will, and I believe that's ultimately applying further strain here on the region of the Cascadia. We have been in an extended period of quietness, if you will, in this area of the Cascadia. Looking at regions here to the east, Sierra Nevada mountain ranges looking pretty active still. Reno, Lake Tahoe area getting in on a little bit of activity within the last hour around Truckee, and some movement out in the Long Valley supervolcano and Ridgecrest area. Nothing significant taking place around the Bakersfield area, although we have seen a swarm there in the last week or so, just right around the Willer Ridge. This kind of goes. You kind of got to look at the map here over the last day or last week or so, and look at these specific swarms that have taken place and the seismic increase in the area of Southern California in general. I mean, actually, I think entirely, pretty much it seems like right around this area southward has seen quite a bit of increase in pressure and earthquake activity out here within the last week. So, and that includes Nevada. Up and down the eastern part of Sierra Nevada has seen quite a bit of activity. What else we got here?
Nevada had I think it was a 3.4, I believe, this morning.
Was that by the
in Mina?
Around the Mina area, outside of Mina?
Yeah, 3.9. It was upgraded, right?
Yep, 3.9. Now, yeah, this is kind of in the Candelaria Hills area, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. Outside of the swarming that we've seen
up there, yeah,
last week up in that region.
Yeah, that's where that other quake took place.
This is where the 6-pointer struck, not last year, but the year before.
Yeah.
So aftershock sequences do continue for quite a while, but this kind of separate swarm here kind of popped up out of the blue, but now we're seeing activity bounce back here in the fracture zone. Yeah, 3.9, that's a pretty good size little earthquake out there, ramping up. Just overall general sign as a major whole regional. I'm not talking just, in a certain little area. You got to look at the broader view because these plates are huge. Talking about the Pacific and North American plate, these things are, or it may seem huge to us, but they're really not on a global regional plate tectonic type of view. These things move and come and go as they will. And, these little areas that see lots of swarms up and down the state may seem like a long shot or far away from the plate boundary, but these things, when there's a regional amount of pressure like this, it's kind of giving us the indication there of some dynamics here kicking up in the plate area. of the North American Pacific Plate. So just got to be on guard out here, folks, for sure. Intermountain West regions, Idaho, seen a little bit of activity kicking up here around this area where they seen a 6-pointer. I think it was 2 years ago now, along the Sawtooth Fault area. Seen some movement kicking up here within the last 24 hours, including a 3.0 earthquake. Pacific Northwest has been relatively quiet, and it remains quiet today, except for a little one outside of Mount St. Helens, it looks like. Let's see what we got here. Yep, a couple small microquakes around Mount St. Helens, actually. Right there at the crater. We can check out the volcanic activity while we're on it. There at the Mount St. Helens region. Nothing significant, but there's definitely a little swarm of earthquake activity over the last, looks like the last 2 days, the last 2 weeks, right around the crater area. See if we can get, there we go. There's some of that earthquake activity. I like it when these seismograph stations are properly tuned, because you can see the localized earthquake activity, which is very well defined. There's at least 4 well-defined earthquakes there at the crater area of Mount St. Helens. And we can check out the previous day, see if there's see if it shows these other earthquakes that were being reported. This one's all over the place a little bit. Some S waves from a large earthquake, probably those 6s that we've seen a day or so ago. But yeah, definitely some further earthquake activity mixed in there. You can see these well-defined spikes. Color doesn't indicate anything. All that indicates is so you can basically decipher which time this activity is taking place on in coordinates with the time over here. Black, red, blue, you guys get it. So that color doesn't mean anything. But definitely having some earthquake activity out there at Mount St. Helens. For now, though, it remains normal, right? We always see somewhat of some type of earthquake activity at the volcanic areas up and down the Cascades. Oklahoma, Texas area, a little bit of spotty movement in the Oklahoma area. Looks like southwest of Norman, Oklahoma. I'm sure there's some injection wells and pumping operations out there in the oil field, north oil fields. Okay, that's no wonder. Quite a bit of activity out there kicking up. What else we got here? New Madrid zone, pretty quiet. We did see one little earthquake, a 2.2 near Mountain City, Tennessee. The Puerto Rico area, pretty active, it looks like, over the last 24 hours. And also Haiti area, Santo Domingo, looks like a little bit of movement here around the Dominican Republic, 4.3. But we're seeing definitely a return of swarming activity around the Puerto Rico area. Only one up here around the Puerto Rico Trench at 3.4. Got to watch this area too pretty closely. This one's definitely capable of producing a larger quake in that region.
Pretty deep, 61 kilometers
into the trench area. And if you notice, pretty good uptick in movement here along the South America region, with activity kind of kicking up in the 4 and 5 range, and some deep movement kicking up in this area as well. This here, Peru-Chile Trench, of course, the largest ever recorded anyway, earthquake in history, 1964, struck along the Peru-Chile Trench down here a little bit. So this area sees a major amount of accumulated stress in a year, and subsequent larger earthquakes, a lot more than other areas do around the world. All right, excuse me, folks. Still trying to kick this little, I don't know what it is. It's lingering. It's a lingering little annoyance in my voice box. Japan, let's see, a little bit of activity. We did see this movement here, pretty shallow, 3.8. I'm surprised the USGS is reporting a 3.8 since it is international, right?
Right.
They normally only report a 4.0 and above, but it's kind of cool. Maybe they'll get in the mix and show us 3 earthquake activity around the globe. A little bit of activity up here in the northern part of the watch area, off the coast of Russia. This area here, though, Kuril-Kamchatka Trench and the Japan Trench, remains relatively quiet. Check activity at the Mauna Loa volcano. There's been no updates, and it looks like the earthquake swarming that we've seen yesterday has died down for now. but something to watch pretty closely. It's a pretty large active volcano, and no doubt it's been pretty quiet since about 1984. Quiet in terms of eruptive stages. There's always earthquake activity and ground deformation at this area, but got to watch that baby pretty closely. I have a feeling that's going to be getting pretty active here soon. What else we got? Yellowstone activity. We'll check this out here. Looks like a little bit of movement here, localized. It looks like on the Grant Village area. Some earthquake activity down here, but nothing significant. I'm looking at this activity here. Looks like that may have been one of the Idaho quakes, a three-pointer, kind of a distant type earthquake signature. Localized, going to be well defined and spiky, if you will. And overall, in this area of the park, just a couple small microquakes in that region. Let's see, folks. All right, we're going to jump off here. We will be back a little bit later on. Got somewhat of a busy day today. Solar weather activity kind of dying down from last night's X flare, but M flare that kind of kicked up at 1.1 there on the chart. That is the GOES X-ray chart system there on the live stream. Just going to switch those up on occasion from the auroras to the flux monitor, just to just kind of make it I don't know, make it a little bit more interesting, I guess, when it comes to watching the data on the live stream. But for now, folks, hope everyone enjoys their day. Stay safe out there. Southern California getting pretty active, and we will continue with the live stream. It did go down, surprisingly, at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, like usual. I when most people are sleeping, I guess I got to stay up now and see what's going on at 4 in the morning and track IP addresses and see who continues to try to bring down the stream. I mean, it's just odd. It's a never-ending battle recently with the stream, but that's okay. We'll bring it back up. All right, guys, have a great day. Stay safe out there, everyone.
Have a good day, guys.